A man sits handcuffed to a metal chair, bloody and beaten, a cigarette hanging from his lips. Across the table, two strangers stare at him like they can't figure out what they're looking at. One of them finally asks the question everyone in this movie keeps asking. Who the hell are you? The man takes a slow drag, thinks about it, and gives them an answer that makes no sense at all. Me? I'm nobody. But by the time this story is over, you'll understand exactly why that answer is the scariest thing he could have said. Let's rewind and find out how a quiet suburban dad ended up chained to that chair. We open on the ordinary life of a man named Hutch Mansell. His days are a gray, repeating loop. He wakes up, jogs, misses the garbage truck every single morning, drinks his coffee, and rides the bus to a dull job at his father-in-law's manufacturing company. His marriage feels cold and distant. His wife, Becca, sleeps on the far edge of the bed. His teenage son barely respects him. Hutch is invisible, even in his own home, and he wears that invisibility like a heavy coat. Then one night, everything cracks open. Two masked robbers, a man and a woman, break into the Mansell house holding a gun. They demand cash and valuables. Hutch stays calm, almost too calm, and tells them to just take what they want and leave. His son suddenly tackles one of the intruders to the ground, pinning him for a heartbeat. Hutch has a clear opening. He could grab the gun and end it. Everyone in the room, including his son, expects him to act. Instead, Hutch quietly tells the boy to let the man go. The robbers escape into the night. The fallout is brutal. His son looks at him with disappointment. Sure, he could have taken them. The police officers who show up practically pity him. A neighbor calls him weak. His father-in-law questions why he didn't just handle it. Hutch absorbs all of it in silence, but you can see something shifting behind his eyes. The worst part comes later. His little daughter can't find her beloved kitty cat bracelet, and Hutch realizes the robbers took it. That tiny detail, that stolen piece of his daughter's happiness, is the spark that lights a very old fire. That night, Hutch can't sleep. Something inside him that he buried a long time ago starts clawing its way back to the surface. He visits his elderly father in a nursing home, a man named David who clearly knows more about Hutch's past than anyone lets on. Hutch tells him there's something he has to do. His father, without missing a beat, simply says then he'd best go do it. That single line tells us these two men share a history that has nothing to do with auditing spreadsheets. Hutch tracks the robbers using an old, expired federal badge and a network of contacts nobody would expect a suburban dad to have. He finds the couple in a rundown apartment. He barges in, cold and focused, demanding his watch and the kitty cat bracelet back. But the moment turns. He sees the couple has a sick baby, no money, and nothing worth stealing. The bracelet isn't even there. Whatever violence Hutch came to unleash, he swallows it. He looks at their desperation, tells them he understands, and walks out empty-handed. He wanted a target for his rage. These broke, terrified kids weren't it, so the rage has nowhere to go, and it's still burning. Hutch rides a city bus home, restless, wound tight. Then Faye hands him exactly what he's been craving. A group of loud, drunk young men climb aboard, harassing a young woman traveling alone. Hutch watches. He asks the driver to stay put. Then he tells the woman she's going to get home safe tonight, and he hopes these guys like hospital food. What follows is the moment the mask comes off completely. The men come at him, and Hutch dismantles them. It's not clean or graceful. It's a savage, exhausting brawl in the cramped aisle of a bus, and Hutch takes real damage. His face gets battered, his body pummeled. But every hit he absorbs, he returns tenfold. He breaks bones, shatters teeth, and leaves the men groaning on the floor. One of them pulls a hidden weapon, and in the chaos, Hutch ends up gravely wounding him too. When it's finally over, Hutch is bleeding and gasping, but for the first time in years, he looks alive. The young woman thanks him. Hutch has finally scratched the itch he's been ignoring his whole quiet life. He limps home erect, and Becca finds him in the dark. There's a strange tenderness between them now. Hutch opens up in a way he hasn't in ages, telling her he misses who they used to be, admitting how far apart they've drifted. For one night, the coldness thaws, but Hutch has no idea what he's just done. That beaten young man from the bus, the one clinging to life in a hospital bed, is the younger brother of a very dangerous man, and that man is about to turn Hutch's entire world upside down. We meet Yulian Kuznetsov, a wealthy, ruthless Russian mob boss. He's a flamboyant sociopath who sings in nightclubs, collects priceless art, and rules through fear. When he learns his little brother was hospitalized and left brain damaged by a single unknown man, he's stunned. His men swear it was just one guy. Yulian, half in disbelief and half in fury, vows to find whoever did it and make him suffer. There's a dark irony here. One of Yulian's own people quietly notes that Yulian actually hated his brother, but Yulian can't let the disrespect slide. It's not about love, it's about power. The next morning, Hutch's family sees his bruised, swollen face, but instead of shame, there's a shift. His son, who witnessed the tackle during the robbery, tells Hutch he had his back and that he's proud of him. A crack of respect finally opens between father and son. Meanwhile, Hutch gets a coded phone call from a mysterious contact who congratulates him on his little relapse. That word says everything. This wasn't a first for Hutch. This was him falling off a wagon he climbed onto years ago. The contact warns him that one of the men he hurt was connected to Yulian Kuznetsov, and that Hutch has just made a very powerful enemy. To understand what he's dealing with, Hutch visits an old associate known as the Barber, a shadowy fixer who trades in secrets. The Barber lays it out plainly. Yulian is as bad as they come, a connected and well-funded sociopath with the resources to make Hutch's life a nightmare. He controls something called the Obshat, which the Barber describes as the retirement fund of the Russian mob. Hundreds of millions in cash constantly on the move. Yulian is the man responsible for guarding all of it. But there's a wrinkle. The Barber hints that Yulian is tired of this life and might secretly want out. That detail will matter later. Around the same time, Yulian's people are hunting for information on this mysterious Hutch. One of Yulian's men digs into Hutch's background and finds nothing but a boring, vanilla nobody, but an older, wiser figure in Yulian's circle warns them not to be fooled. He tells them that if they can't recognize a wolf in sheep's clothing, they don't deserve their jobs. That warning goes ignored, which will cost them dearly. That evening, Hutch's family gathers for a warm dinner. Becca makes his favorite lasagna from scratch, and Hutch, feeling hopeful for the first time in ages, proposes a family trip to Italy, back to Rome where he and Becca first fell in love. It's a beautiful, tender moment, and that's exactly when it shatters. Hutch's trained senses pick up something wrong. He orders everyone to the basement immediately. No argument. His family is terrified and confused, but they obey. Moments later, a car full of Yulian's armed men rolls up outside. What follows is a home invasion Yulian's men will never forget. Hutch, defending his family, transforms his suburban house into a killing ground, using everything from his fists to household objects to the attacker's own weapons. He takes them apart one by one. During the fight, Hutch is stabbed and injured, but he doesn't stop. This is a man protecting his children, and there is nothing more dangerous. When the smoke clears, the intruders are down, and one of them survives just long enough to become a problem for Hutch to handle. That surviving gunman ends up in Hutch's care, and Hutch, bleeding but composed, finally explains who he really is. He tells the man he used to be what they called an auditor for the three-letter government agencies, but not the kind who reviews paperwork. An auditor was the last person any criminal organization ever wanted knocking on their door. He couldn't arrest people. His job was to make sure there was no one left. Hutch was a professional killer, one of the most feared in the business, and he walked away from all of it to live a quiet life. Now that life is over, the gunman, bleeding out, calls Yulian and warns him before he dies, but it's too late to stop what's coming. Hutch calls his father, David, to give him a heads up. That thing he had to do, he says, has escalated. Then Hutch sends his family away to keep them safe, promising Becca that this is the last time he'll ask her to trust him blindly. He tells her to come back when it's over so they can finally deal with their marriage. She takes the kids and goes. Alone now, Hutch prepares for war. In a chilling scene, he reveals the truth about his ordinary-looking basement. It's actually a specially built crematorium-grade furnace designed to burn hot enough that bodies leave no trace. As he disposes of the men who came for his family, Hutch reflects on his past in a haunting monologue. He tells a story about a man named Alan, a target he was once sent to kill. Alan had begged for his life, claiming he wanted to change, and for once Hutch actually listened. He let Alan live. A year later, Hutch went back to check on him, expecting to find a broken man who'd returned to crime. Instead, he found Alan living a simple, happy life in Idaho, with a wife, kids, a dog, and a 9-to-5 job, smiling like he'd found peace. That image broke something in Hutch. He realized he wanted what Alan had, so he told his bosses he was quitting the game for good. They didn't believe he could do it, but Hutch gave it everything. He built a normal life with Becca, buried his deadly past, and became the invisible suburban nobody we met at the start. He admits he may have overcorrected, smothering the dangerous part of himself so completely that his whole life became a gray blur. Deep down, he always knew the quiet facade couldn't last forever, and in his daughter's stolen kitty cat bracelet, which he finds among the wreckage, he sees the moment it all came undone. Now Hutch goes on the offensive. He needs a getaway car, so he turns to his neighbor, the loud guy who once mocked him for being weak. Remember that vintage muscle car the neighbor bragged about, the '72 Challenger with the powerful V8 engine? Hutch simply takes it, echoing the neighbor's own words about finding out how fast 0 to 60 really is. Then Hutch drives straight into Yulian's world to hunt the men who came after his kids. Yulian's forces come after him in a wild, brutal car chase through the city streets. Hutch, outnumbered and outgunned, uses skill and sheer nerve to fight them off, trading paint and gunfire at high speed. He takes out carload after carload of Yulian soldiers, turning the hunters into the hunted. By the end of it, several of Yulian's men are dead in a suspicious wreck that makes the local news, and Hutch has sent an unmistakable message. He's not just defending anymore. He's coming for Yulian. Meanwhile, Hutch reaches out to another figure from his past, an old man who turns out to be far more than he seems. This is a recurring pattern in Hutch's world. The people who look the most ordinary are the most lethal. Hutch also reconnects with a family member from his old life, and slowly a plan forms. He's not going to just survive Yulian. He's going to hit him where it hurts most. Yulian, furious and rattled, finally comes face to face with Hutch in a tense confrontation. Hutch, ever calm, tells the mob boss that he came for the show. Yulian tries to reason with him, suggesting that what's done is done and that they can both walk away and rebuild. That's when Hutch drops the bomb. There's nothing left for Julian to rebuild. Hutch didn't just steal from him. He burned it all to the ground. Everything Julian had, including his precious art collection, and, most devastatingly, the entire object, the mob's hundreds of millions in cash. Hutch torched all of it. Julian is stunned into a rage that borders on madness. This changes everything. Even if Julian manages to kill Hutch now, he's still on the hook to replace the entire object. An impossible sum. Hutch calmly points out the trap Julian is in. Word on the street was that Julian wanted out of this life anyway, so why not just quit? Hutch even mockingly suggests Julian take his remaining nest egg, get some cosmetic work done, and open a tiki bar on some quiet Caribbean island, far away from Hutch and his family. Hutch tells him to think it over, then walks away, leaving Julian trembling with fury. Hutch has just made himself the most dangerous man alive to a mob boss, with nothing left to lose. Julian chooses war. He gathers every soldier he has left and heads to the abandoned factory, where Hutch is waiting. But Hutch hasn't been idle. He's turned the entire building into a death trap, rigged with traps, hidden weapons, and carefully planned kill zones. When Julian's small army pours in, they walk straight into a slaughter. And Hutch isn't alone. Just as things get overwhelming, backup arrives in the most satisfying way possible. Hutch's elderly father, David, shows up with a truckload of shotguns, blasting Russians left and right with the ease of a man who's done this many, many times before. Right behind him is the family member from Hutch's old life, and together the three of them turn the factory into a shooting gallery. David, grinning through the gunfire, admits that he tried the retirement thing, the sleeping in, the naps, the swimming, but God help him, he missed this. It turns out Hutch didn't come from nowhere. Lethality runs in the family. The three of them fight through wave after wave of Julian's men in a spectacular, gleefully violent battle. They use guns, traps, explosives, and every dirty trick in the book. Hutch takes hits, but keeps going, protected by the two men who share his deadly bloodline. One by one, Julian's soldiers fall until there's almost no one left. The factory becomes a graveyard for the entire operation Julian spent his life building. Finally, only Julian remains, and he corners Hutch for their last showdown. Julian gloats that if Hutch had simply stolen the object, they could have found a way to make peace. But burning it all down was a step too far. Hutch admits he got emotional. Julian coldly corrects him. He didn't get emotional. He got stupid. And now, Julian promises Hutch's family will pay the price. That threat seals Julian's fate. Hutch and his allies make sure Julian will never touch his family. In a final, decisive moment, the mob boss who thought he was untouchable meets his end, and the threat to the Mansell family dies with him. In the aftermath, Hutch has taken a bullet himself, but he's alive. His father and their family member slip away into the night before the authorities arrive, leaving Hutch to handle the cleanup. Hutch, wounded but at peace, reflects that everyone got what they wanted out of this. His father got one last thrill. Hutch got his soul back. And Hutch, well, he got shot, but he's smiling anyway. Then comes the moment that ties everything together. Hutch leaves a voicemail for Becca, pouring out his heart. He tells her he owes her everything, that his life before her was empty and dark, and he thanks her for letting him pretend to be someone else, someone normal, for as long as he did. He asks for another chance, promising that this time he'll try to get it right. He tells her he loves her. It's a raw, honest confession from a man who spent years hiding his true self, even from the woman he loved. And this brings us right back to where we started. Hutch, handcuffed and bloodied in that chair, facing the two agents who ask him who he really is. Only now we understand the weight of his answer. When he says he's nobody, it's not weakness. It's the calm of a man who has finally made peace with both halves of himself, the quiet dad and the deadly auditor. One of the agents scoffs that it's not much of an answer. Hutch just smiles and tells them, "Trust me, it's answer enough." The movie ends on the perfect, hopeful note. Sometime later, a cheerful real estate agent is showing a lovely new house to a couple, gushing about the bright dining room, the gorgeous kitchen, and the private pond. That couple is Hutch and Becca, together again, giving their marriage the fresh start they both wanted. The agent gets a phone call and hands it to Hutch. He answers with his usual simple greeting. Then, with a knowing look, Hutch asks the agent one quiet question. Does the house have a basement? Becca shoots him a look that's part exasperation and part affection. She knows exactly who her husband is now, and she's chosen to stay anyway. In the very last scene, the family drives off together, luggage packed, bickering playfully. Hutch's father teases him about the man he shot on the stairs, insisting he still doesn't believe the story, even though it absolutely happened. The kids ask why they can't just fly instead of driving, and Hutch, with a small smile, glances at the mountain of luggage in the trunk, luggage that surely hides more than just clothes. The message is clear. Hutch has embraced who he truly is, dangerous past and loving present all rolled into one, and his family has embraced it right along with him. The nobody finally became somebody on his own terms, and that's the full story of Nobody, a film that takes the most invisible man in the neighborhood and reminds us that the quietest people can carry the loudest storms inside them. It's a tale about a man who lost himself in an ordinary life and found himself again through chaos, family, and one stolen kitty cat bracelet. If you enjoyed this recap, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next breakdown. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.